Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. So it is Friday, Flour It Up Friday to be exact, and I have been struggling with this for as long as I can remember. So when I first started making bread, I actually tried to do this, and bread making was no issue for me because I've been doing that for years, but I've never been doing this bread product for years, and it was bagels. I have tried several recipes, thought I had one, just didn't work out for me, so I've got two more to try, and today I'm going to bring you along with one of them. So here are my ingredients to make bagels. I have my salt, and I have my yeast. Here is my molasses. Now, I'm going to use molasses in my water. This is not something she used in her recipe. I have some local honey, which is not also what she used in her recipe, but I'm going to use it. Some water, and of course my flour. Now, she used sugar instead of honey to feed her yeast. So if you want to use sugar, you can. And she didn't put anything in her water. I'm putting the molasses in my water when I go to boil it. So, yeah. Those are the couple of differences I am going to do. And I'm following Carrie from Carries Culinary Crafts. She actually made this. I'm following her recipe with a few little tweaks of my own. Okay, so she did it in the bread maker. Now, she started with her water, her yeast, and her sugar. I'm going to start with my water, yeast, and honey. This is not the way my bread maker says to do it, so hopefully it will be okay. I am doing a voiceover at this part, but the rest of the video is pretty much I'm talking, but my house can be noisy at sometimes. That's why I usually do voiceover. So if you hear any craziness in the background, please excuse it. Okay, so I have my bread maker here, and she started with her cup of warm water. Now I'm going to do it the same way. Like I said, my bread maker, it actually says put the yeast in last, but she put the yeast in first. Along with the water and the sugar. So I am using some local honey that I have, and I'm putting about a tablespoon, maybe a little more than a tablespoon. She used 2 tablespoons of sugar. Honey is sweeter than sugar, so I'm gonna use a little less. And then the equivalent of a package of yeast, because I have the bottle of yeast here. I'm just putting the equivalent of a package, which is a teaspoon and a quarter of yeast. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm going to mix it in like she did and let it bloom. Even though I know this yeast is good because I've used it quite recently, as of yesterday, to make bread, but I'm still going to do it just in case. You never know. So I'm just mixing it here, just mixing it around as you can see, and I'll come back in about 5-10 minutes once it's bloomed and proceed with the process. So cross your fingers this actually works, because if it does, I will definitely be going with one of these recipes to make bagels. So this is where a lot of my mess comes from. Little hands want to help. So do you pre-sift your flour? Do you measure first and then sift your flour? Or do you not sift at all, just measure your flour and go? Sometimes I measure, sometimes I don't. I'm finding that this King Arthur flour here lately has been lumpy. Now that could be me because it is not fresh. I found some in my long-term storage, which I packed away in Mylar bags and everything, and it is a little lumpy. So I always pre-sift because I actually had a problem a couple of years ago. I actually found something in my flour. It was like a piece of plastic or something. I actually contacted the company. They never got back to me, but whatever. So I always pre-sift my flour and then measure because I found something in my flour. So what are you, a pre-sifter or just straight measure it and go with that, not sifting at all? So I don't know if you can see that this is in this tablespoon measure, it's all-purpose flour, but I've actually mixed my flour with, I had a half a cup of all-purpose, not all-purpose, whole wheat flour that I'm going to use. Put that back in there before I dump it in by mistake. And I'm going to see how it works. I probably should have just stuck with as close to the recipe as she did, but I made little changes. So I've got half a cup of whole wheat flour and all the rest of the 2.5 cups, because 3 cups in total, of all-purpose regular flour, which is wheat. I don't know what the difference is. One's maybe like whole wheat, white wheat, and red wheat. That's what I'm thinking it is. So I have half a cup of whole wheat, and all the rest is all-purpose flour. So we'll see how this goes and see if it makes a difference to the end result.
Okay, so it's been about a little over 5 minutes, not quite, like 8 minutes. And as you can see that my yeast is frothy and bubbly. So I'm going to add in my sifted flour, and I did incorporate my salt in here as well. So I'm just going to dump it all in, and as I showed you earlier, my bread maker has a dough, bagel dough setting, so I'm going to set it to that. Okay, I set it to menu number 10. I guess you could set it to 9 just for dough, but I'm setting it to bagel dough because it has that setting. Why not? And it's gonna go for 2 hours. That's what I like about this bread maker. You can actually just set up whatever you need to set up, pizza dough, whatever. Go away and do what you need to do and come back to it, and it takes care of itself. So I'm actually gonna start it, and it's going. So I'm just gonna leave it be, let it do what it's doing, and just check on it periodically and go ahead about my business and come back to it. So I'll show you once it's ready. And this will do everything. You can actually, of course, bake bread in it, because this is what I used to bake bread in before I went to my mixer and a bigger Pullman loaf. So I'm just gonna let it go and I'll come back. So it has been kneading and doing this thing for about 40 minutes, and now it's on the rise. And as you can see, it's warm up the top. Actually, you can see the condensation there, so it is warming. And it will rise to double its size, probably more, because I've had it go over and touch the ceiling, touch like the glass, actually plastic. But I'll bring you back when I get to take it out of the bread maker. Okay, so my bread machine just beeped to tell me it was finished. And here is my dough. I'm actually going to get it out on the counter, and we'll go from there. Let's see. This is why I sift my flour. Do you see that? Those big chunks? Yeah, that's why I sift it now. All right, a little bit of flour on my counter. I'm just going to dump this out. Hopefully it comes right out. There it goes. And of course, take my kneading hook out of there. All right. I am gonna get my little scraper. Get the rest of this out of here because it's stuck a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. It's dark outside. It's gonna storm any minute. We are having some crazy weather. 1 minute it's hot in the 60s, flirting with 70s, and the next minute it's like 30 degrees with a high. Crazy weather. So I'm going to knead this just a little bit. And this should make 8. I don't know if I'm going to get 8 out of this, because we like our bagels kind of on the larger side. So I'm just going to, so nice and warm. Well, not that my kitchen is warm. My kitchen is always freezing. Except for in the middle of the summer when it's blazing hot outside. Okay, so I'm going to try to get, maybe I'll just do 6. Yeah, I'm going to do 6. Because this looks kind of small to me. Maybe not that one. But, I don't know. My indecision, as you can tell. I'm thinking maybe I will do, I'm gonna do 6. That's gonna be it. So I'm gonna shape these into sort of like a bowl, like you would be doing rolls. And I'm going to let them rest for about 20 minutes, just on my counter. I'm gonna cover them over. Okay, so I made 8. I busted out my kitchen scale. I love this scale. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I made 8. So a couple of them were really big and another one was kind of small. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bust out my kitchen scale and get all 8 of them pretty much the same size. So I'm just going to cover them. And while I do this, I'm going to get my water going for the boiling process. Okay, so I've got my water boiling. And I'm just going to add my molasses in here. Not a lot. Probably like a tablespoon, I guess. And a little bit of baking soda. Now I've heard that helps with chewiness. So I've done that before. And we'll see how this works. So I would have done this while my water was boiling before it actually boiled, but I got pulled away. So what I'm going to do is put a hole in the center with my thumb and forefinger and just make a round like that. Make the actual bagel shape. So I'm just poking my fingers in and kind of like going like that to spread it out. So just do it and spreading it out. Now I've done it where you put it in a, like roll it in a like long log, sort of straight, and then join the 2 ends. I find this one, doing it this way, gives a better shape to the final bagel. I mean, it's all gonna, you know, somewhat come back together. You want to I kind of go on the bigger side because I want to be able to see my hole in the end and not have it come back together. See how this is almost wanting to come back together? I want to have a hole in the center of mine. And see, they rose a little bit bigger than I would want them to because they're going to actually expand a little bit in when I go to boil them. So we'll see. I want them kind of on the bigger side because I like my holes in the center. I'm just going to finish this up and we're going to start boiling them. And I've already preheated my oven to 375. Now I'd have to double check that. I think they said 400. Well, somebody said 400, somebody said 375. My oven tends to run hot, so I'm going to go on the lower side of 375. So just going to do this. And you do want to have an egg wash for them. Now I took out one of my little smaller egg pieces that I have actually for egg wash. It's like half an egg that I froze and I defrosted. So that's what I'm going to be using for my egg wash. So you can do what you want to do. In the past, I've used actually meringue powder. It's a substitute for egg wash, but you can use what you want to use. And I'm going to do some of these plain, and I'm going to do some of them with some cinnamon sugar because we don't like everything seasoning, and I wanted to do cinnamon raisin, but with the recall on cinnamon right now, I'm staying away, and I'm actually completely out of cinnamon. Another thing I'm out of, and I'm scared to order it, really. I'm scared to buy anything, really, with all the recalls and everything's going on. But here they are, and I'm going to put them on my tray. I do have a little bit of cornmeal that I use on my pizzas and stuff. I'm going to sprinkle this a little bit on the bottom of this tray when I go and take them out of the boiling water. Okay, so here they are on the tray. So far, so good. I'm going to take them over to the boiling water and boil them on each side for about 30 seconds. Get them in there. Oh, they float. See, that's another thing that I had before. Mine didn't float. They like sunk to the bottom. They eventually floated, but not in the very beginning. Just setting my timer, and we're going to get those timed. Get this up a little bit more boiling. Get them flipped over. I kind of push it.
I always like to flip stuff away from me because I always think something's going to splash on me, oil or whatever.
Okay, so my first one is out, and all I'm going to do is just sprinkle a little bit of cornmeal where I'm putting the second batch. Okay, so here's my egg wash. I'm just going to take my egg wash and brush them. And then I'm going to sprinkle half of them with cinnamon sugar. And I'm going to stick them in my 375-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes or so until they're like golden brown. And then we'll see what they look good. I wish I had some cinnamon that I could have made them cinnamon sugar. Not cinnamon sugar, but cinnamon raisin. But I don't have enough cinnamon. I just have this cinnamon sugar that I'm going to put on. Sorry, I'm just methodically brushing them with egg wash. And then I have this cinnamon sugar that I've had for ages. We used to make cinnamon toast, but we make cinnamon toast a different way now. So I still have this left, and I'm just gonna sprinkle them, half of them, 4 of them, with this cinnamon sugar mix, and see how they come out. Hopefully this doesn't burn. It shouldn't. Hopefully, because I've done this on like apple turnovers and stuff. I've used this on, and actually it got pushed to the back of the cabinet, and that's why it's still, I don't know, our tastes have changed. But anyway, this is what it is. I'm going in a 375-degree oven for about 20 minutes, and I'll be back to show you what they look like. This before I tossed it. I had some egg wash left. I froze half of eggs for egg wash, thinking that that would be less waste because I would just throw them away. But I've been freezing them like this. This is half an egg, but it's still too much. I think I should do a third of an egg. So what do you do with your egg wash? What's left over once you do a project like this? Do you just throw it away? Do you freeze it? What do you do with that? I'm thinking I should have done a third, freeze a third, because even this is a little bit too much for like those 8 bagels that I just did. Okay, so here they are out of the oven. These are the plain ones right here, and these ones have the cinnamon sugar sprinkled on them. I'm going to let them cool a little bit and give them a try. They look and smell delicious. The cinnamon sugar smells so good. Maybe I should have sprinkled that on all of them. But anyway, next time. This is probably the best I have been able to make them. Time will tell. My issue is, will they stay soft for a couple of days? Usually we put them in the fridge. I think I might just sit them on the counter. Maybe that's what I was doing wrong. But with the store-bought ones, we just put them in the fridge and eat them when we want them. But maybe for these homemade ones, I can't do that. So we'll see. But so far, so good. Just wanted to show you what the bottoms look like. They're cooled a little bit before I bite into one. Nice and brown, not too dark. So let's open up one and see what they look like.
So I cut one of the cinnamon sugar ones in half, and I put a little bit of butter on it, and I'm going to give it a taste. So I will say it is very soft. It's chewy like we like it, and the taste is really, really good. So this might be a keeper. So this is what we have left over. One's already gone, and someone's starting on the second one. I won't say who, but me. So yeah, these was a success. So we will be using these for breakfast over the next couple of days with the little bit of cream cheese we have left. So maybe this is one other thing I can take off my list of having to restock after 14 months without a grocery store. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. And remember, stay safe and keep prepping.